Hi everyone, welcome back. We have a lot of material to cover and very quickly, so we're going to dive right in. Feel free to watch this video as many times as you like because again we are going to cover a lot of material fast and it's something I'd like you to even play around with a little bit if you have some time to do that. If not, that's perfectly fine. It will be going over all of this again in class. So let's go to our course outline, which is posted on johnstonis.com/ruby. And you're going to see the website that I've just kind of put together quickly to cover what we're going to be going over. So we are going to actually be doing our programming online. I believe very strongly in hands-on programming. And so on day one, we're going to start coding. That's the purpose of me doing these presentations or this video is to help us dive into this and move fast. So the first one is we're going to go to here is the online Ruby sandbox. We're using an online site called repl.it. It's a place that you can test and practice with just about any programming language that's out there. So all kinds of very interesting things that you can do as you're taking classes and so on. But we're going to be using Ruby. So I've gone ahead and selected that. Now I would encourage you all to create an account. Actually, you're going to need to create an account because if you want to save your code, you have to have an account. It's free, requires a username, email, and a password, so please do go ahead and do that. But for sake of just argument right now, or sake of just demo, I'm not doing that. Okay, so let's close this and go back here, and we're going to go to lesson 1. I'd like you to click on this right here, and that's going to take you to the first lesson that I've hosted. And if you have an account, you won't get that pop-up. So lesson 1, this is an introduction to variables. This is something you would need to understand as you're becoming a computer programmer. And first thing that I want you to do is click the run button. And I want you to see what the output is, and let's look left and see what we have. What we have here are comments in Ruby, so we are actually running Ruby code here. What you're seeing on the right hand side is an actual virtual terminal. You're actually running code on a virtual machine somewhere hosted, I don't know where. But this is real. This is your code that's over here, and this is the output from this. This is what we call the terminal output. You can see this is actually a Linux box. This is we're using Ruby 2.3.1. So this is a nice way to quickly get programming and to try things out without having to install an editor such as Atom, or there's many other editors that are out there. So let's go back through the code again. Comments in Ruby start with a pound. So I can put anything in here, and as you can see over here, you don't see these represented over here. These are ignored by Ruby, by the compiler, but visible to you as the programmer. First line that you see is this puts line with all these different asterisks. And that's the line that you see right here. Then you're seeing a second line. Puts is how you output something to the terminal. It just simply prints whatever you put in there. We now have variables. A variable, remember we talked about that. It's a container, simply something that you can put data into. So I can say my name equals John Stonis. That puts a string into a container called my name. That string happens to be the words John Stonis. I can create another container called my age, and I'm assigning and saying that is equal to 42. Line 22 here. Now I can put that out to the screen using a puts command. And that is puts my name is, and then the way you do this in Ruby is if you put this inside of your string, you have to say pound and then the brace, my name, which is the variable, and then close the brace. You can also then put my age. You can also use shorthand, just say P, the letter P, then space, the variable name, and that's what you're seeing over here. And that's what you're seeing for the age. You can also create a Boolean variable. I am a teenager equals false. And then you can output that. So this is basically simply variables. Another concept could be my weight equals, let's say, 183.23. That would be considered a floating point variable because it has a decimal place. And we can say P my weight, and that will put that out to the terminal. And you can see 183.23. This last line, if you're wondering what this is just the last thing that it did. You can really ignore that. Your code actually ended right here. So that's lesson 1. There's really not a whole lot to that. This is just to kind of give you a quick introduction to variables and let you play around with this type of code yourself using the repl.it. So let's go on to lesson number 2. So we're going to choose to leave. So lesson number 2, conditional logic. So this is going to allow you to use if statements. And so let's go ahead and run this. And we can see that this says welcome to lesson number 2. And we have here 2 variables. We have John age equals 42, Jonathan age equals 16. And then we have an if statement in Ruby. If statements always look like if. They have to end with an end. You don't have to have an else. That just says, what do I do if this condition is not met? So what this reads is, if John's age is greater than 18, then print out John is an adult. Otherwise, print out John is not an adult. And then we close it with an end. And you can see I've got a comment here in this. If Jonathan's age is greater than 12, so now we have Jonathan, that's a different variable, then he is a teen. Otherwise, he is not a teen. So I can run this. And you can see it says John is an adult, Jonathan is a teen. But let's go ahead and change Jonathan's age to 50. And let's see what happens. We get that Jonathan is a teen. That's because it says he is greater than 12. But we could also say, and Jonathan age less than 19. Now let's run this. It says Jonathan is not a teen. That's because his age is between, so that says if Jonathan's age is greater than 12 and less than 19, then he's a teen. So that gives you a little bit of an introduction to conditional logic, and that is the end of lesson number 2. So let's move on to lesson 3. We'll close this, I'm going to leave there, and we'll go to lesson 3, and we're going to talk about functions or definitions. So these sound scary, can be intimidating, but what this is, so in Ruby, it starts with the word def. It means definition. All this is a block of code that's only going to run if we call it. We have variable names inside of this, something that's going to display. So let's go ahead and just run this. So this says, welcome to lesson 3, John is an adult, Jonathan is a teen. It's very similar to lesson 2. There's one exception. We have these definitions up here. They're only going to run when we call them. So the first one is run right here where it says person is an adult. See where it says person is an adult, person is an adult here. We have 2 different code blocks. So we have if John age is greater than 18, then call person is an adult and pass in a variable called John. That's what we're doing right here with these little parentheses. We are passing in a variable into this code block. So it's coming from here and going up to here. So let's we can run this. John is an adult. So we could change this and say, so you can see the difference here. Just some text in there, and it says John is definitely an adult. We can also come down here. Let's change Jonathan's age again to 54, and Jonathan's age is greater than 12, and Jonathan's age is less than 19. And we get Jonathan is not a teen. And that's because we didn't, in this case, we didn't call the method or the definition. Again, remember, methods, procedures, functions, those are all the same exact thing. They're blocks of code that only run when you call them. So in other words, this is called from here, and it is called from here. So this is something, again, this may be a little bit overwhelming at first, may seem like a lot. Don't worry if this seems to be like a lot. We're going to go through this in detail in class. I just wanted to mostly give you a little bit of an idea of what you can do with Ruby and the kind of the environment that we're going to be working in. So thank you for watching, and I look forward again to seeing you in class.